Good evening from London, wrestling fans. I'm your host, Ben Allison, and you are listening to Wrestling Republic's daily broadcast, your one-stop shop for professional wrestling insight, news, and reviews on a daily basis. And today, it's Sunday, which means the Colliders are all hungover from watching AEW Collision last night. I mean, I've not known, people who watch wrestling show to have a nickname for a long, long time, but Colliders has seemingly picked up now. Sammy Guevara on air acknowledged it last night. Tony Khan's now tweeting it as well. I guess what they're trying to do is have the show, kind of have like a cult following or something, but I don't know. I had some gripes about last night's show. I also enjoyed some stuff from it, and we're going to be breaking that all down on this show today, in addition to talking about LA Knight and the reaction, or lack thereof, that he got in Australia yesterday at Elimination Chamber. But before we jump into all of that, I need to introduce the co-host for the show, Clark Taylor. How are you, Clark?
I'm doing well. I've actually got some insight on that for you, Ben. I've heard that Batman is the leader of the Gotham City Colliders when it comes to that group. He's the New York City chapter mayor when it comes to that. I'm a Collider myself. I enjoyed Collision last night. I'm stoked. I got real life sleep last night, unlike the night before. So I feel excellent, happy to be here, and stoked to get into it.
Absolutely. It's going to be a fun one. And it's going to be a fun one because also joining us, we have the host of Take It to the Table, Chaos. How are you today, Chaos?
What's good? What's good, everybody? Happy Sunday. You know what that means. This is my first Collision episode. I've been on here for a while, so yeah, I'm excited to talk about it, as well as what happened at Elimination Chamber and everything, all that. So I haven't got no quick witty joke here.
That counts.
Nothing about
count it. Count that one.
No.
Joke exception.
It's all gone there. No, it's all good.
There's a joke inside of a joke.
Well, Bobby Petito is joining us here today, and he's saying Miyu Yamashita from Japan is doing a tour in America from April until June. Oh, that's exciting. That really, really is. I wonder if, she's going to be showing up in any of the major promotions. That would certainly be fun. We've also got Jason in the chat as well. Happy Sunday, Jason. But let's just jump straight into things. Let's jump straight into talking about Elimination Chamber. Of course, you can check out our full review from yesterday on the YouTube on demand. But, out of the gates right now, I want to talk about LA Knight.
Yeah.
There is no denying, denying that the reaction that he had in Australia was, well, just nothing like the reactions he was getting, a few months ago. And to me, ever since that, Roman Reigns feud, it kind of feels like his momentum's dropped off a bit. And it's weird because, I don't even think they've been booking him badly. They protected him in all these matches. They've given him star treatment. It's like the second they started treating him as a star, fans have just been like, actually, not interested. It's almost as if, I was right. I'm only joking. But I don't understand it. I really, really don't. What I can say is me and Chaos went to Money in the Bank. I think it was last June or July in the O2 Arena. And people walking out of Money in the Bank to the tube station were just chanting LA Knight's name. They were doing chants. It was all of that. He was the most over person on the show. And now they've gone international again just a few months later. And, it was pretty much crickets. In fact, I think they got some cheers from AJ Styles when he decided to turn full-on heel on LA Knight in that chamber and cost him the opportunity. But Clark, tell me, do you think WWE have wasted LA Knight's momentum?
See, I don't know if there's anyone to blame here. For all I know, Australia is more of a yes country than a yeah country. Maybe they like yep better. I'm a huge fan of Australia in general, but maybe it was that. I was weirded out by this. Of course, he's going to lose some steam after the title feud, the triple threat stuff, all of that. But the rivalry with AJ Styles, this should be one of the best feuds headed into Mania. And it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me that LA Knight isn't the one being cheered. I'm going to chalk it up as kind of a fluke. We haven't seen it twice. I think the second time we see it happen, that's when I might start to think, we're in trouble here. But for now, I think LA Knight's just fine. That was a very star-studded men's chamber match. No doubt about it. So he's standing in there with 5 people that are all over, including Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley got cheered almost as much as anybody, and that blew me away. I thought that was great, actually. It made me think, speaking of people that need to be pushed and booked a little better, maybe some Bobby Lashley and Street Profits stuff in the future actually having some success would be nice. LA Knight's managed to, no matter his level of success, have the fanfare and be cheered as a huge babyface. I think it's kind of a fluke. I think it's a one-time deal until proven otherwise. That's what I would have to say about it. I still love the gimmick. I still love the entrance, and he's still blowing me away bell to bell. He looked good in this match. He did. Was he overshadowed by sublime performances by Hall of Famers like Randy Orton? Okay, sure, I'll give you that. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's him, AJ Styles, headed to Mania. Hopefully this is maybe a stipulation match or something like that. I want it to seem more like a blood feud. Make it serious. AJ hit him with a chair a lot of times and then put him down with a Styles Clash on that chair. I was sketched out about the top side of it sticking up. I'm like, he's going to slice his ribs open. It didn't.
You were as well.
When I watched it, I was like, whoa! Like somebody step on that part of the chair. It scared me to death. Obviously, the spot worked out without a hitch. I didn't realize maybe the edge of that part of the chair was rounded or something, and so they kind of knew that it was going to be all right. But either way, it took a lot to put LA Knight away. So I don't think it's the WWE necessarily that doesn't believe in LA Knight. He was booked to be put away as devastatingly as anybody in the match was. The finish to his Elimination Chamber match, right? A Styles Clash on a chair, no one should kick out of. And of course he didn't. So I have no issue with it. Yeah, I think until proven otherwise, we're good with LA Knight. He'll be fine.
Well, we got a few comments here. We got Irvin Kang saying, still think LA Knight should have won Money in the Bank. I mean, there's certainly an argument for that, but then again, I doubt we'd cash in on Roman Reigns successfully, so who knows about that. We've also got Tink54_ saying, LA Knight has lost a little steam, but not much. This Styles versus Knight feud will be red hot. While D.03.M is saying, who's a bigger afterthought in their respective companies after being one of the biggest stars in the world, Finn Balor or Jay White? We'll talk about Jay White just a little bit later, but here's the thing I want to make crystal clear about that. Jay White was a far bigger star when he, signed with AEW than Finn Balor was when he signed with WWE. Because there was a difference there. Finn Balor was pretty much, a really upper mid-carder in New Japan and considered one of the best prospects in the world for certain. But he had not had the spotlight on him the same way Jay White already had by the time he became a free agent. So I'm not sure if that is a fair comparison, if I'm being honest anyway. And Sonny Dalton and Sandy doesn't think LA Knight's a great wrestler, but his persona's cool. I mean,
I think bell to bell, he's improved since he's been in the WWE system. He's put on some awesome matches. He put on a good one with Roman Reigns. He was great in the triple threat. He's been good bell to bell so far. I don't think he's necessarily in the Bryan Danielson, whatever, AJ Styles, sublime bell to bell worker category, but he's absolutely improved over his TNA days. And even I would say since leaving NXT, as good as he was in NXT.
Yeah, no, that's a fair point for sure. Bobby Petito is saying that he likes LA Knight and think he has potential to be a singles champion on the main roster. Absolutely, I agree with you there, Bobby. And we have Chris Company Main saying that he thinks it's definitely a fluke as he's actually still red hot. Well, I hope you're right. I really, really do, but time will tell. But Chaos, I want to get your thoughts on this one. Do you think this was a fluke, or do you think that, because of the booking and everything to do with it, this could be a trend?
Yeah, no, I think this is definitely a fluke. I mean, Australia for one is just they're the new Bizarro world. They, I think they were also saving their energy for Rhea Ripley, as it was evidently shown. Yeah, and he hasn't lost momentum. I mean, hell, he's been put in a match with a whole lot of main eventers as well. So it's not like a Shinsuke Nakamura situation where you're mid card, then you get put in the World Championship, then you get back to the mid card again, and now you're just rehashing on rivalries. It's still been put in refreshing new rivalries, and I think with AJ Styles. My worry about this is that I hope this is not going to be his match at Mania. I want him to actually be the one to take the title off Logan Paul. And
I don't think that's happening.
I don't think it's happening either, and it's unfortunate, but I feel like that would be a good WrestleMania moment for him, considering that he got shafted last year and didn't really have anything. But yeah, I feel like it was just one of those things. I'm pretty sure there's plenty of over wrestlers that's been to another country or another continent or whatever.
Continent.
And they weren't as hot as they were in the UK or in the States alone. So yeah, I think it's just a little blip. Also regarding someone's comment saying that LA Knight is not a good wrestler, he's good on the mic. I mean, there's a lot of good wrestlers that there was a lot of wrestlers that weren't really, technical, but they were able to tell a story, like Steve Austin, The Rock. Hell, I'll even put CM Punk out there. They're not really the best wrestlers, but their strengths are they're able to tell a story in the match and the chemistry. And that's what LA Knight is. What I agree that he's definitely come leaps and bounds from NXT going up to the main roster. He may not have a vast move set, but he's able to convey a story and keep the crowd going and keep them interested into it in his matches, and that's what gets him over.
That's a good point.
But yeah, I don't think that we will have to see when he comes back to the States and see if he has actually lost momentum. But right now, yeah, I think it's just a blip. I think they were just saving their energy for Rhea Ripley. And yeah, just one of those things. So yeah, and like I said, Australia's Bizarro world.
Yeah, that is true. Absolutely. We have a comment here from Bruno_Miguel 2002 saying, have either of you guys watched the Progress show yet? Well, weirdly enough, the Progress co-owner just joined the chat on Instagram, Lee McAteer, as well. Shout out there. I've not had time to check it out yet, but it was on demand, Progress Live earlier, and I'm definitely checking it out on demand. It was a stacked show for sure, but I've not seen it yet, but I'm very, very excited to check it out, hopefully later on tonight. But now let's move on, or before they do, Grizz Company Main has actually got an interesting theory here. He's saying he hopes they tie all of the feuds together and book a ladder match for the US title, as this would be, better than a bunch of singles matches.
I do miss like a good ladder match at Mania. I would be totally up. Obviously, we had the Money in the Bank and the occasional one for the Continental Championship. But yeah, I think they should bring back having not a random, but a good ladder match, a multi-man ladder match at Mania, not just some dead mid battle royale.
No, good point indeed. And Irving Kang saying that LA is a great character, and where he sealed the deal for him was that, talking segment with Roman Reigns, where he held the bar and, he was essentially, wait a second, we got something from here from Soul about Progress Wrestling saying, I just finished Progress Twisted Metak, and all I will say is Spike versus Kid Like Us in the steel cage was a strong contender for match of the year. Okay, ooh. I need to check it out now, Soul. That one is for sure. But now let's move on, because I want to move on and talk about some AEW Collision. I want to get those views from those AEW Colliders, as they're calling themselves. And I want to talk about Powerhouse Hobbs versus Sammy Guevara, because I think we're all in agreement that, Jericho's New Appreciation Society and Friends and Co., whatever you want to call it, feuding with Don Callis has gone on too long. It's gotten repetitive. It's gotten boring. But this match was anything but. It was just a fantastic way to open Collision. It was just a really, really good match one of Powerhouse Hobbs' best matches to date, I'd say. And I mean, maybe the same for Sammy Guevara as well. A fantastic Collision opening contest, but I do have an issue with it. And the issue with it is that it was so good of a match. I do not think that this should have been, opening a show. I also don't think that this, should have, there should have been this much violence in it with as little of a build between these two men as they had. We mentioned the two, sides have feuded for way too many months, but Sammy Guevara and Powerhouse Hobbs, they've not had an intense singles build for this match. And when you're doing moves as risky as they did, I feel like a bit more of a build is needed. I feel like either, a bit more of a build and a TV main event, or even a pay-per-view match would have done this match justice. Because like I said, these two performers, they killed it, but there was a lot of risky stuff involved. And is it worth it for a TV opener with no, single storyline between the two sides? What do you think, Clark?
This one was a barn burner. I don't have an issue with it, right? This isn't Saturday morning cartoons. It's Saturday night Collision. It's a different audience. So the violence I've got no problem with. I enjoy the violence in wrestling, and I enjoy Sammy being risky. That's who he is. That's his wheelhouse. One of the craziest spots ever in AEW history is that spot off ladder to ladder with Cody Rhodes. How in the world was that pulled off? It was outstanding. Last night he does crazy stuff as well. I mean, honestly, I had to really, really dig deep to look at anything nitpicking wise that I'm unsure of. And it's the only thing I could really think of, and it's selfish of me, is I think Powerhouse Hobbs has the best spine buster in all of wrestling. And I understand that Mark Henry has given him the World's Strongest Slam as a finish, and Mark Henry had some issues with certain wrestlers using that move as a non-finish. And Hobbs has gotten permission to use it from Mark. I can only assume, considering he's in AEW, they both are in AEW, employee wise, and so honoring a move, protecting a move like the World's Strongest Slam, I understand is important, but I still believe that Powerhouse Hobbs' spine buster is the best in the business, the best we've seen in maybe a decade. When it comes to consistency, it's just violent. The way it's delivered and the consistency in which he delivers the force, it is one of the prettiest spine busters I've ever seen in my lifetime. And I'd love that to remain his finish, because we don't see a lot of spine buster finishes. Arn Anderson, famously had the best in the game to start, and then it's moved up. Many have used it as a, kind of a signature type move or a setup move as a part of their moveset, but not necessarily always as a finish. And I enjoyed that Hobbs was using that. Neither here nor there. That's the only thing I would have to complain about. All of the spots were excellent, and I enjoyed the violence.
Well, here is the thing I'll say about that, right? We often say, is Tony Khan listening to fans? Well, I think he is. I just think he's listening to the wrong ones, because a lot of these AEW colliders, the hardcore fans, are saying, a spine buster as a finisher? That's ridiculous. We want to see a 450 Hurricane Rana into a pile driver, into a panorama sunset, whatever you want to call it. That's what they're saying that they want to see. So he goes, we'll change the finisher, whatever. In reality, he should be listening to the fans of the people who aren't watching, not who expect, 6-star matches in the Tokyo Dome every other day.
Ooh, shot at Cardi.
Yeah, Cardi Carnett himself.
Take that, Carnett.
I agree, Clark. I thought the spine buster was so great. But I will say this. Hobbs was using, I forgot what the other move was, but it was that and the powerbomb. He was using both of those as alternate finishers before. Maybe he's going for the Will Ospreay approach of having 3 finishers now. Maybe that's what he's
Bryan
doing.
Danielson, the man of 1,000 finishers, right? He can finish the match anyway. That's one of my favorite
things.
Although
I like that, but from a marketing standpoint, I do like it when you have like maybe 1, 2, maybe 3 finishers.
I also don't think every wrestler should pull that off like Bryan, right? He's unique. So I think,
that's true.
Generally speaking, right, it's a different animal there. And Manzano had a comment I'll address. I do actually believe that Powerhouse Hobbs Spinebuster is better than Braun Breakers. Braun's is awesome. Braun's is a setup move. Braun doesn't finish people with that Spinebuster. It is a beautiful Spinebuster, no question. It's a classic. And the Steiners, speaking of great Spinebusters, both Steiners had great spine busters in throughout their careers, Rick and Scott. So obviously that one's generational, but I would still actually give the nod to Hobbs because of the violence in which he was delivering it. And that's my only thing, neither here nor there. I don't mind the world's strongest slam either. He delivers it with violence as well. That table was broken pretty easily. I'm just like, there wasn't really much issues with the table break there.
Yeah.
But just selfishly, I really, really enjoyed Powerhouse's Spinebuster.
I mean, what White Caster Stross is saying Bobby Roode Spinebuster. I agree.
That is a great one. Bobby Roode had a
Spinebuster.
Jinx.
And Sonny Dalton and Sandy is saying, what about Triple H's Spinebuster? Another good Spinebuster.
But a setup Spinebuster, right? The Rock had a good one.
Yeah,
Batista's Spinebuster, absolutely beautiful.
I love Batista's one. That was because he pops up immediately. I don't know how he does it, but it's great.
It was so quick how he stood up. That's the best part about his. Yes.
The Spinebuster was that generation's, like the last generation's super kick, where like throughout the entire, Ruthless Aggression era, everyone was doing a Spinebuster, and it went from a finisher to,
Goldberg even started doing Spinebusters at one point, like very, very rarely here and there, which is hilarious.
And they were finishers back in the day, but I mean, anyway, we've got let's move on, right? Because listen, there was a lot of Spinebusters, back in the day. Well, unfortunately, right now there's a lot of links, and everybody's got a link. You link to your Instagram, you link to your YouTube, you link to everything. Okay, so if I want to watch my favorite creator on YouTube, I've got to search them up on YouTube. I've then got to search them up on Instagram, and I've then got to search them up on Twitter. It's all just very frustrating. It takes a lot of my time. I've got better things to be doing with my time, like complaining about professional wrestling. Well, we have the solution for you, or more so, our friends over at the NXLVL Next Level app have a solution for you, because now all our links are in one place, and that link is in our bio. It is also in our Instagram bio. It is in everything. It's on the YouTube description as well. And you can go to nxconnect.me/Wrestling Republic to see all our content across all platforms linked in one place, plus some exclusive content on there as well, right? We upload all our reels on there, some exclusive stuff. It's free. It's free to use. Giveaways. You might as well do it. You've got nothing to do. Giveaways coming soon. We can't go into too much detail about that yet.
No details, but you can win.
Very exciting.
Everyone likes winning.
Win something. Who knows what? We'll have to wait and see. But it certainly is, it's very handy. All our links in one place, one click. In 2 clicks, you can follow us and all the platforms. It's brilliant. Once again, that's nxconnect.me/Wrestling Republic, and you guys can, see the link there. But now I want to talk about Collision once again, and Chaos. I want to bring you in for this one, because I want to talk about FTR versus Shane Taylor Promotions, Shane Taylor and Lee Moriarty. Because, listen, I don't mind a random match here or there. I really, really do not. And I really don't mind a random match when they've got, such good talent involved as FTR, as Shane Taylor, as Lee Moriarty, who I was a fan of before anybody else was. I interviewed him back in 2018, right? Put some, or maybe it was I think it might be actually 2019. But put some respect on his name for sure. He's a fantastic talent. But for the 10th week in a row, Collision was just filled with random matches. Let's be real. Who watched Collision to see this? Chaos, am I being too harsh here?
No, you're not. I totally agree with this. I mean, obviously FTR needs to have a match against someone, that's to make them look strong against, because obviously with their feud going on with the BCC. But yeah, it's the fact that it might as well have been some jobbers, because no one, even I'm sorry to say, I never cared for Shane Taylor as much as he's probably one of the the goats in ROH and whatnot. When he was feuding with Samoa Joe, I didn't care, and I feel bad for Lee Moriarty, because I liked him when he first started in AEW, but then he started to be like, he was the first Action Andretti before Action Andretti, You know, he was
Yeah.
like momentum, and then they just dwindled it. They just blew it, and
He wrestled CM Punk.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. You know, he had decent moments, and he's a great wrestler. I totally agree with you. But this was just a weird match to put on for FTR. I'm sure it was, you know, they wanted to put a credible team, but they could have chose anyone else than Shane Taylor and Lee Moriarty to make FTR look convincing, and maybe not convincing is the right word, but there's a more credible team to really hype up the match that they have got going against the BCC at Revolution. But yeah, at the end of this match, I'm not gonna lie, this was in the background until I heard the bell ring, and then they had that weird promo at the end. But yeah, it didn't do anything for anybody, and yeah, it follows the trend of random matches that makes minimal sense for FTR and Shane Taylor and Lee Moriarty. So it was what it was. It was just background noise to me at the end of the day.
Oh, I mean, at least you're being honest about it, to be honest with you. But I mean, I'm going to be honest. I also didn't realize you were in an FTR shirt, but David Marge did, and it's a cool CM FTR, t-shirt. And I didn't realize we mentioned both of those wrestlers last teams in this. I
got one of the last ones that before they went out of stock. I got one of the last ones that was just hanging in the warehouse. So yeah, this is a nice little collector's item.
Sonny Dalton and Sandy are saying that he wants FTR back in WWE. I'm going to be honest. I do think they're better in AEW. I think AEW fits them, suits them a lot better. So I wouldn't go as far to say that, because they are used decently. It's just they write better stories overall. It's not an FTR, specific thing, I'd say. Bobby Petito saying, I wish Lee Moriarty was on AEW TV to get more reps. Exactly. Like, you can't just have, and I know I go on rants about this. I know I go on rants about this too much. But you can't just have a huge roster, because otherwise you're holding your roster back. That's the truth of the matter. But anyway,
it's not like in the background. He's been predominantly on ROH, but you can't just bring someone that was been predominantly on ROH just randomly on AEW TV and make us care, because
it'll be silent.
AEW fans to be watching ROH as well. It's just really weird consistency.
I genuinely think about 20, 30 times more people, and maybe it might be even more than that, watch NXT compared to Ring of Honor, even in proportion, right, for AEW size. But even still, WWE don't presume that they're, the people who watch their content know who NXT stars are. So why are AEW pretending that, everybody knows ROH stars? It's absolutely ludicrous to me. Makes zero sense whatsoever. But something which also just makes no sense to me and was ludicrous was Malachi Black not having a singles match in nearly 2 years. It's absolutely inexcusable. It's senseless. I don't get it. I'm presuming there's something we don't know. If there isn't something we don't know, then I don't have many nice things to say, because he is so good in the ring. I don't care if you're doing trio stuff. You can do single stuff at the same time. This highlights all their problems that they have with not showcasing talent enough, and therefore the talent not getting over, and therefore the talent not earning them as much money as they should do. This highlights all of that. But anyway, he defeated Brian Keith, who I think's had, more matches in 2 months than he's had in his entire time in AEW, which is really interesting. Anyway, a win here, and then after the match, he's obviously having a feud with what's it?
Mark Briscoe.
Mark Briscoe. I can't for a second. His name has completely slipped my head. But I'm really excited for Mark Briscoe versus Malachi Black for sure. Of course, he stuck the screwdriver again back into the corner. You got to take a bit of strength to do that as well. It is quite funny then just seeing it stuck in there for however long afterwards. But Clark, what did you think about this match? And do you think AEW need to use Malachi better?
If you're going to be away for 2 years, honestly, great comeback match. I thoroughly enjoyed it. The Black Mass still lands and we talked about the super kick, spine buster, a bunch of different moves. While we're on that subject, the spinning heel kick might be the future of the super kick, because that thing is gorgeous every time.
Oh, it is.
That thing is absolutely gorgeous, and it's unique. I'm wondering also why we don't have somebody going Leon Edwards with a high kick finish in the future, because it's, speaking of underutilized, that would be fun to add to any type of striking type move set. Not the point here. Brian Keith, I think, is awesome. It was a great signing, and I love the bounty hunter gimmick. This is a fun match. Briscoe and Malachi Black. We can't get the two years that just happened back, but we can only move forward. That's a great singles rivalry. I have no issue with it at all. Mark Briscoe on TV more often, I have no issue with. I love the Briscoes. I love Mark. I'm excited about it. I want to see a slugfest, and with the steel spike aesthetic, we're going to get a bloodbath between those two.
Yeah.
And that's the type of feud that Malachi Black should be in when it comes to singles. So maybe you can't get right all the time, but they got this one right. And so I'm willing to let it play out, see what happens. Not to use the old cliche there, let it play out. Sorry, that was bad. That one just slipped out on me. But I see what happens here, because we are at least on our way to a good singles rivalry for Malachi Black, for the House of Black, for Mark Briscoe. And I know those two can go bell to bell. That will be a slugfest, Ken Griffey Jr. slugfest, if I do say so myself.
But no, you are right. But again, let's. I know you said you regret saying it or whatever, but let it play out. You can say that about 90% of all these AEW issues.
True.
The fact that we've let them play out, and just nothing's happened about it, and now they're in a worse mess.
But my point is, on this one specifically, our complaint: how is it possible Malachi Black hasn't wrestled as a singles guy in 2 years? I couldn't agree with you more. But he just wrestled as a singles guy in an awesome match with Brian Keith and set up another singles rivalry with Mark Briscoe that I'm hoping it gets paid off at Revolution in something violent. I mean, we had a steel spike, and let's give it a shot, right? This one was a step in the right direction. At some point, if you do have 2 years away, you've got to come back. And there's no point in looking at the past there and going like, well, I wish it was 2 months ago. It wasn't. It was last night. And what happened last night?
You've got to learn from your mistakes.
No, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. But what happened last night, as far as Malachi Black is concerned, was much more positive than what we saw from a singles perspective in the last 2 years. So we're working in the right direction, right? Got to be optimistic here.
Clark's definitely trying to tell me that my glass is half full, not half empty right now, isn't
it? It is.
But Sonny Dalton and Sandy saying the Black Mass is like, nobody does it better than Malachi Black, and I agree with that. Well, Mark, I'm really sorry. I'm so bad with names. Mark de Hayden one is saying the Netherlands wrestling boy won in AEW. We absolutely didn't. Let's hope we see more from him. Absolutely. We have here. Oh, my screen's gone weird. We have here. I don't know what's happened to my screen. The amount of tech issues we've had over this week. Here we are. We got it now. Anthony Manzano is saying that when Ring of Honor was up for sale, there were rumors that Triple H wanted to buy both the tape library and the company. I'll say something about that, right? I don't know what dirtiest dirt sheet said that, but what I can tell you is that dirt sheet not only has bed bugs very clearly, but it's also probably dumb as anything, because Triple H has no say and didn't at the time in any real business decision, right? Triple H cannot go, I want to buy that company. He doesn't have that authority. And I mean, nowadays he's not even on that side of things at all. He's purely, talent, booking and relations and all of that stuff. But chaos. Let's finish up with the main event before we get to, the big topic, the Jay White topic, because the main event on Collision was Bryan Danielson once again continuing what's pretty much his farewell tour with a match against Akiyama. And for us, hardcore wrestling fans, this is exciting, but for a casual fan, Akiyama, who they don't know about him. But I thought they did well in the match in telling the story between Danielson and Eddie Kingston. Danielson's gone full heel mode now. He low blowed Akiyama at the end of the match. So I enjoyed the build from that perspective. But this to be a main event match, I'm not sure, Draws. What do you think?
I mean, yeah, the match was fun. It picked up near the end. To say that Danielson has gone full heel, I think he's probably the biggest tweener in AEW, because he did
a low blow to a legend who went for a handshake. That's a heel.
But I'm talking about it like he's still. I mean, like the guy, even when he was going through his babyface phase, he was still coming through the heel tunnel. So it was really weird with him. So that's what I'm saying. He was like the biggest tweener, but yeah, he's definitely gone full heel. Yeah, the match was good. At first, I thought it was going to be a bit, a bit iffy because obviously, Akiyama's knees it doesn't really hold up, and he wasn't as fluent. Then I think this was going to be as good as Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr. Of course not. But yeah, the first it was a bit. It didn't look good. There was a couple missed spots. I think there was one point where Danielson was trying to do a knee to Akiyama outside, and he completely missed him. Obviously, Akiyama sold it, but yeah, it was a complete misfire. But then it really picked up. And yeah, it was a fun main event. The added detail with Kingston, commentary was great. Yeah, Danielson's gone fully heel. However, yeah, I do feel I do hope that he actually wins the Continental Crown at Revolution. Kingston already got his, he got his moment and all that. But yeah, I think now it's time to give Danielson a major title, and also bring that prestige of that title, because it's definitely lost its prestige since the tournament. So but yeah, other than that, yeah, it was fun. It was very enjoyable. Yeah, I just look forward to seeing that match. And I do predict, or I do hope, that Danielson actually wins that match. But before we actually move on, are we actually gonna forget about the awkward entrance from the Acclaimed when Bowens?
We're talking about that in the next segment.
Oh, were we? Okay, my bad. I got too happy. I really wanted to go into that. That was hilarious.
He's ready to go.
I'm ready to.
Well, let's just jump into it then. Let's talk about it, because listen, this time last year, Jay White, he was one of the hottest free agents in professional wrestling. Everyone was talking about him. It was like WWE, AEW, wherever he goes, he's going to be a chop star. Well, he went to AEW. He came in. He did next to nothing for the first few months. He then got a championship shot against MJF. However, due to his lack of, being built in AEW, next to nobody cared. The match kind of went too long. MJF was hurt. It was just all a little bit mid, unfortunately. And it all went downhill from there. And now he's in a comedy group with the Acclaimed. Of course, right? Obviously, they're going to lead to a turn, and it's going to be the trios versus trios. It's obvious, okay? I get that. I understand it's a storyline, but it's a long storyline. When you have a character such as Jay White, for him to be in a comedy storyline, it's going to harm his character. His character's meant to be that he's just, really dark and evil, and just not a very nice guy. And for a heel like MJF, this would work, the entire pretending to be friends with him. But for Jay White, he was never that kind of heel. He was, more of a Randy Orton style heel almost. But he wasn't, kind of on his own. He was in a faction, and that faction was Bullet Club. However, Bullet Club, since the Guns joined, or BC Gold, or the Bang Bang Gang, whatever, they've kind of just looked like a comedy act too. I thought the Guns joining them at first was going to be great, but now they've just gone back to the comedy stuff. It's stupid, and it's going to harm them all long term. It really, really will. AEW have wasted Jay White, and this storyline has sucked. Nobody cares about it. Absolutely nobody. I said this weeks ago, and everyone was like, oh, let it play out. It'll be the most over storyline. It'll be like R-Truth, blah, 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 blah. Guess what? Nobody cares now. I was right. It was clear as day that this was going to be what happened. And last night, the Acclaimed came out, and like you mentioned, Chaos, Max Caster fumbled his rap. And guess what? It happens from time to time. I'm not going to be too hard on him. He's done so many raps. I think now 2 of them have ever been messed up. And this was the first live one which was ever messed up. If they're smart, they'll... Yeah, absolutely. But listen, if they turn this into a storyline now, I think they could recover this. And I think that could be a smart thing to do, that maybe, the Acclaimed are starting to lose their mojo, and behind the scenes, the Bang Bang Gang, messing them up or something. I don't know. What I do know is the storyline's absolutely stupid. Stupid, I tell you. Because why do you have RH titles in AEW to begin with? I don't know. Now you're going to merge them. It's just infuriating. It really, really is. You have somebody as good as Jay White. Clark, I know what you're going to say. You're going to say, well, they're signing all the talents, to have the market.
No.
It's not smart. It's not smart for them at all. Because guess what? If you give, stars less time, they become less marketable. You can only showcase so many stars on a TV product. You can't just sign all the stars and then rotate them all the time, because the casual viewer, who guess what is what gets you those big TV deals, don't know who anyone is and just don't care. This is AEW's biggest issue, and it sums it up. They have ruined Jay White, and it's infuriating. How on earth can they mess a talent like Jay White up? I don't know. Chaos, take it from you, because I'm gonna
deep breath.
Yeah, damn. I mean, to be fair, this is the fun Ben I like. This is when he absolutely flips his lid. I actually like it. So yeah, that's fine. Do I feel like they've wasted potential? Yeah. I mean, I feel like he's definitely just an upper mid Carter, I guess. It's and considering the levels that he was in New Japan, they have dwindled it. Even when he was the world champion and they had that triple threat match, it was him, Cole, and Okada, if I recall, at Forbidden Door.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he was red hot then. They just kind of fumbled the bag, but at least they're actually using him in some way. I think this is hopefully just something to get him by. I mean, he can't always be part of the World Championship picture, but yeah, you kind of wish that it was something a bit better than that. Obviously, he competed in the Continental Classic, and but yeah, after that, yeah, it's just kind of this is just filler. It's just them episodes that you watch in Naruto and Bleach. This is just a filler episode for him until he actually brings it back. If they never bring it back,
it's filler, which is going to harm him, though. Like, it's hard to recover a character like his from a situation like this.
Kind of. I mean, like, arguably, his group is actually still over, even though they might not be in the better.
Not. Silent. The reactions are like silent compared to anything.
That was cringe. That was painful. I think
the last few times it's been silent.
Oh, fair enough. Maybe I have my head stuck in the sand. But I mean, like, yeah, last night. I remember he did this first bar and it was absolutely crickets, and I think that threw him off. And then he just like, hey, you've got to. I kind of wish he just just threw it out and he said, you got a big nose. There you go, done. But he just absolutely gave up, and it was really, really awkward. But yeah, like you said, he's done a lot of raps. He has a 90% win rate with them, so you can always have you just have one of them bad nights like Deonna Purrazzo and Madison Rayne. But that's another conversation. But in terms of momentum, yeah, he's definitely lost it, and you kind of wish they put him in a better place than this weird thing. I didn't know they were looking to merge the titles. Well, might as well, because I do not care about the ROH 6-man tag team titles. But yeah, it is worrying. Definitely when he was one of the marquee signings in AEW. But then again, WWE did this one at one point. They were giving mega bucks to people just so they didn't go to AEW, and then they ended up using them. So, it's because
people came in like Nick Khan had a brain and was like, well, this isn't good for business. So they shouldn't have released them during a pandemic. I'm not at all defending that. But in general, they have a brain.
Exactly. So, you just kind of hope that he has a better 2024 than what they're giving him right now, because it's not a great look. I don't know where or when that's going to happen. But yeah, I agree. I do not care for this whole stick with that he's doing with the Bam Bang Scissor Gang. No matter how over or not over they are, he needs to be in a better place. Hopefully in singles action, 100%.
Right, I'm about to go off again. Saul's commented this. He's over and he's getting a reaction from fans. He's not.
I don't agree with that.
Are you not listening? Like, watch anything that they've done the last 3 weeks on TV. It's absolute silence, right? Maybe he is happy. I'm not saying Jay White should be angry. What I'm saying is AEW's hurt him, and therefore AEW aren't going to get a return on their investment for him. Right?
Even his MJF feud was a bit dead. I didn't like his MJF feud.
It was. And that's the thing. And he's saying, he had a feud with the World Championship. He participated in the Classic. He had a feud for the world championship, but when he came in, they needed to do a far better job at making him feel like a big deal because they just chucked him in the mid card with tag matches with Juice Robinson every week, and then on Collision too. And not as many people watched Collision. The views were still higher then, and I remember they had the fantastic tag match with FTR. That was brilliant, but you need to make people care for the character, and I think that's one of the things which Tony Khan sometimes is missing. But Clark, I want to get I want to get your thoughts on all this.
Okay, I think there's a pretty easy fix here. I think great direction to go is Jay White at his finest. Leading factions is big. If you tuck him in a faction like this, obviously he's easier to overlook the way that it's been booked. How about a struggle for power with Daddy Ass? Real simple. Maybe Jay White retires Billy Gunn. Okay, and now everyone listens to him. I'm all for that. That's an idea, but I will also say, okay, I hear where you're coming from because Jay White's a big deal. And a casual fan who might be a casual fan that watches everything may have seen Jay White's past in New Japan. They may not know about him. Yeah. So if you're seeing him for the first time reaction-wise, you're getting him as he's been booked on screen. If you're not, you still see Jay White on a poster and you go, oh, I know Switchblade from New Japan. Maybe I'll check that out. The casual fan doesn't track storylines. So that's another factor here. I hear where you're coming from on the casual fan versus the hardcore
I
fan
don't
thing,
think any
the casual
fans
isn't
I'm talking about didn't know him in New Japan.
Okay, so that's fine. So we're specifically talking about the section of casual fans that have not previously seen Jay White in New Japan. If that's the case, then of course, by comparison to the way he was booked in New Japan, an entirely different audience, it is not the same. I completely agree with that. Was my expectation that he would move over from New Japan to AEW and immediately be inserted into a position where he would be the same as he was in New Japan as a hardcore fan myself? No, that's
I didn't expect that either. I did not expect that either. I expected him to have a character development.
He's had world title opportunities
with no build.
There is a way to get this back on the tracks and build Jay White to be a bigger deal because history is easy to retell. We can tell the story on screen of how great he is in New Japan. He can get upset with what is going on and immediately lock in and be the Switchblade. And as soon as that happens, I'll be excited about it, but nothing's dead. His character isn't killed. Is it not living up to what the potential is? Is it not living up to what its potential is? Absolutely. I will agree with that. But killed? No.
No, it's not. I don't agree with killed either. Yeah. I don't agree with killed.
It's not as great as it could be,
and it's going to be difficult to get it back, but they can do it. Like you said, if they really put time into saving it, they can save it undoubtedly. But I mean, based on history, they've not done that when people have lost momentum in this company. Right. I mean, apart from the Bucks, they are doing it with right now, right? So maybe there is going to be a change here because, like I said, they have done it with the Bucks. We got Wrestle Takes here. Hello, Wrestle Takes.
What's going on?
We got Shard saying Max Caster is garbage and Bowens is wasting his potential.
That's a hot take. That's a hot take. I don't know.
You know what you should do?
Who's up there for Shad?
He should take it to the table. But on that note, guys, thank you so much for watching. Thank you to Clark. Thank you to Chaos for joining me here today. It's been a really fun show. If you're on Spotify, please leave a cheeky 5 stars. On all the other platforms, support us. We're here every day, and we'll see you guys back tomorrow for Mailbag Monday. So send in those questions via our Instagram story. See you guys tomorrow. Peace.